We're back with yet another podcast, and today we're going to be talking about the up-and-coming event on June 15th of UFC 161, and some of the main headliners in that fight is Mr. Rashad Evans taking on Dan Henderson. I'm going to let Dawson weigh in on that. Who you got in this fight, Dawson?
Evans. It's got Evans, period.
Decision, knockout, finish?
TKO, round 3.
Ryan, you want to get on that? You had a question about the UFC.
Yes, in boxing they have 3 judges, like if it's a split decision.
Yes, sir.
Is there a split decision in the UFC, or do they just have to be a winner, though?
No, actually, it's scored very much like boxing.
I see.
But they are ring generalship. There's ring aggressiveness. I guess you control the action, want the action to go over, and obviously the knockout or the tap out that boxing obviously doesn't have. But it is scored like judges.
Okay.
And that's a good question. I don't know if it's boxing is basically most of the time boxing's on a 10-point must system. Like it's usually a 10-9 round if one boxer, whoever they think outpunched the other one, landed more clean shots, what have you. Sometimes when you get a knockdown, it may be a 10-8 round and so on. Anyway, Wayne, who do you got?
Mr. Dan Henderson's going to win that.
Dan, the man, Hendo is going to win this. What round? You think it's going to be a knockout, submission?
It'll go the win.
It'll go to decision.
Yeah.
Going to go the distance.
But I believe toward the end of the last round, Mr. Evans is going to get his lock knocked off.
So ultimately, Dan Henderson will walk away decisively the winner, even though if he doesn't finish
it won't be a TKO, it'll be a KO.
Oh, so you're thinking a knockout. You're predicting Dan Henderson will land his big left hand.
Come on, now. You got something to say, man. Come on.
There's no way.
There's no way?
There's no way.
And why?
Because Evans is the best boxer in the light heavyweight division. He's the best, one of the better stand-up fighters. I just think he can outstrike Henderson.
Experience is going to prevail in this one.
Experience is going to prevail. I have to go with Dawson a little bit on this one. I don't know about him having the best boxing in the light heavyweight division, but I kind of have to give the edge. Me and Wayne discussed this earlier. He knows how I was going. I think I give a slight edge to Rashad Evans, although I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Dan Henderson did pull it off. He's certainly capable. Either of these guys, I like both these guys. Either of these guys are capable of winning tomorrow night. They certainly are. Anyway, Dawson was saying, do you think that John Jones is going to lose his belt? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying GSP will.
So you're predicting right now, and that fight has been set.
Yeah.
Johnny Big Rig Hendricks will take the welterweight champion.
Yep.
You think so? Knockout? How?
Knockout.
By knockout. He does have heavy hands. You want to care to weigh in on that, Wayne?
Now that one, I would have to agree because, to be honest, I've never been a big fan of George St. Pierre.
Really?
Never had that.
His fighting style?
His cockiness.
Oh, his cockiness. That's not what I hear a lot about GSP.
I think he's a cocky person.
Oh, really? You do?
I
You
do.
think he's cocky?
I don't like his fighting style.
You don't like his fighting
I think he's
style?
boring to watch. I think he's just another Jake Shields.
Really? I do like GSP, but you know what? Johnny Hendricks does, on paper anyway, have the tools to beat him. He really does, and he's got some really heavy hands. Johnny Hendricks is an excellent wrestler as well. So, that I don't know if the wrestling will count each other out and it's going to be a stand-up fight. I don't know. As far as technique goes, I'd have to give it to GSP. As far as power goes, I'd have to give it to Johnny Hendricks. That one's up in the air, and I'm really looking forward to it. I certainly am.
Somebody answer me this question because I don't know. Whatever happened to Matt Hughes?
Matt is basically semi-retired now. I think he gave up his aspirations for a title pretty much. He came out with some kind of workout video one time. He was promoting it or something like that. I honestly don't know what his role is with the UFC anymore. I don't know if he's hung up his trunks for good. I don't know. But I believe I'm trying to remember his last fight. Can you remember his last fight?
I have no idea.
But, funny you should say that. You like Matt Hughes.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
a lot of people think Matt Hughes is cocky.
But then he was able to back it up, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's no doubt still is, as far as that goes. He was, at the time, before GSP, you'd have to say, he was hands down the best welterweight in the world.
I don't think if you can back it up, you can't consider somebody being cocky if they can back up what they say.
Yeah.
That's where it comes back to.
Did you watch The Ultimate Fighter where he coached that?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? It was when he was on The Ultimate Fighter. You remember that, Dawson?
That's been a while. I think.
It has been a while. He was a young man. I remember when he actually did that. So I remember Matt Hughes and GSP's first fight, by the way. It was a submission by Matt Hughes. He stepped over and armbarred him. He really did. So it was a good, impressive fight. Unfortunately for Matt Hughes, the other two fights went decisively for GSP. What I would like to see, I don't know, I wouldn't like to see it, but the heavyweight division, do you think does it lack some excitement right now?
I think it does, but
I think you was telling me that earlier.
I would like to see Roy Nelson get a title shot, though.
He may very well do that.
If he can beat what's his face this weekend, Miocic, is that his name?
I'll have to look on that. I'm not sure. I know the guy in line right now is the former heavyweight champion, Junior Dos Santos.
I can't stand him.
So there are going to be three. This is going to be the rubber match. Who you got in that? Cain Velasquez or Junior Dos Santos?
I hope Velasquez wins.
I think Velasquez will.
Though.
I think it will.
I have to agree with that.
All right, just to change the subject, just one moment. But this question is from Mr. Ryan Farmer. Ryan, was you surprised by last night's NBA playoff game?
No,
Spurs and Heat.
No, the way it's going right now, it could go 7.
I think it's very, very possible. I thought it was unlikely, but if the Spurs could have won the 3 home games there in San Antonio, that would really put the Heat in a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. They would have put the Heat on the Heat. Yeah. But now, it's 2-2, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a series is tied. But they've got one more game in San Antonio before they go back to South Beach. Is that right?
Yes.
So who's going to win the playoffs?
As much as I hate to say it, Miami will.
Miami's going to win,
yeah.
Ryan?
I said Spurs in 6. I'm going to stand by it.
Spurs in 6 games.
I could be wrong, but
Well, man, that's no problem.
I have to agree with Ryan on this.
I'm taking Miami in 7.
Miami in 7. I have no idea, but I hope the Spurs win. Touching on, since we're talking about the MMA and we're also addressing the NBA and the MMA, so did anybody see Chael Sonnen on Jim Rome?
LeBron James a loser.
He called him a dork first, and then he came back and said he was a nerd. Do you agree with that, Dawson? Do you agree with that?
I don't know. It's Chael Sonnen. I hardly agree with anything he says.
Really? So you're not giving that a lot of merit?
I don't even care what Chael says anymore. I've lost faith in Chael.
Well, why have you lost faith in Chael? What has he done to?
He can't win fights, and he don't back it up. It's like he says.
You have to remember though, he's lost his last 2 fights, but arguably that's 1 and 2 in the world. His last 2 fights was against the first in the middleweight was Anderson Silva, his old nemesis, and the second one was John Jones. Those are, in my opinion, those are the 2 top fighters in the world. And what do you think he's going to do against Shogun, Mauricio Shogun Rua? That's who he's going to be fighting on the Fox Sports 1 debut, their 24-hour network, on August 17th. The main event is Chael Sonnen versus Mauricio Shogun Rua at, I'm assuming, 205. What do you think about that?
Rua, in the last couple fights he's had, seems like he's having problems with his stamina. So I think Chael's just going to take him to the ground and finish it.
So you expect Chael to actually take it to the ground, even though that's, he's good off his back. He is good on the ground. He's Brazilian, and they tend to know what they're doing when things go to the ground, but you still give it to Chael. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Wayne, you want to
I'm having a hard time with that one because
Ryan, I'm going to be with you in just a moment. I got a question for you.
I like Shogun in this one, in that one.
You got Shogun in this one? I'm always for Chael. I'm a big Chael fan, so I got to pull for Chael. Ryan, was Chael Sonnen right in calling, in your opinion, was he right in calling, LeBron James a dork?
Did he ever meet him, though? That's the question. Has he ever met LeBron James face to face?
I have no idea. I tend to believe not.
Well, don't you think it's a little bit like judging? Till you meet somebody face to face, what
That's
they're
true.
like?
But you do know who Chael Sonnen is, correct?
Yeah.
I've let you watch
Yes.
some of his YouTube clips. He tends to be a bit outspoken.
Yes.
I'm a big Chael fan. I've read his book. I think he brings excitement. So you're going to stop short of saying
Yes.
that was the right thing to do, right?
I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes.
Wayne?
Maybe the truth hurts. I don't
Maybe
know.
the truth hurts. He even hit Lance Armstrong really, really, really hard.
Lance deserved that.
Oh, you think so?
Yes, he did.
Oh, I'm still a Lance Armstrong fan. I am not a fan that he bullied people by no means. I don't think that's right. But as far as the cyclist goes, I still think he's awesome. And his story, his cancer survival, that was pretty amazing, really. So I'm still
Maybe it was the juice that caused the cancer in the first place.
I think that's what Chael said. I don't know. And that's not verbatim, of course, but yes, something like that. And he come out with this before Lance actually admitted. It was way before the Oprah show. And you can understand where that probably caused a little controversy, but which is exactly what one Mr. Chael P. Sonnen was trying to do. Remember, though, he states he's not a trash talker. He's a truth talker. So, you agree with that, Dawson?
No.
You don't agree with that at all?
In some cases.
In some cases?
Maybe.
In some cases, maybe. We'll have to kind of keep a track of the time here. We're going over just over 12 minutes now. So in about 2 more minutes, we're going to probably postpone this one and start with part 2. Anyway, I was going to ask you about the heavyweight division. Daniel Cormier came over from Strikeforce. He didn't come over. He was former Strikeforce. I think he brings a lot of excitement to the heavyweight division, even though he will not fight Cain Velasquez. I think Cain will retain his title, and I look for Daniel Cormier to actually drop down to 205. What do you think? I think he will end up fighting at 205. And I think him and John Jones is actually a good potential matchup. Not as good as Anderson Silva and John Jones. Obviously, I want to see that one first and foremost, but if that one doesn't happen, I would love to see John Jones versus Daniel Cormier. What do you think?
I don't even know who any of them Strikeforce people are at all.
You know who Nick Diaz is.
Yeah. But
You know who Jake Shield is.
Yeah,
Actually, Dan Henderson was at Strikeforce.
I know that.
So, but anyway, Daniel Cormier just coming off a victory over Frank Mir. Did you see that fight by any chance?
I heard of it.
Yeah, I think so. So, anyway, that was a pretty good fight. But I really expect that Cain will defend his title. I think so. And I don't see Cormier fighting Cain. So I think he will drop to 205. And if Anderson and John Jones doesn't happen, at least we've got that fight to look forward to.
This sets it up. See, if Cormier won't fight Velasquez and no one else is winning enough to fight him, then Roy Nelson has to fight him.
So you think that's that way it's going to go down?
It's going to be Roy Nelson and Velasquez.
All righty. Well, folks, we're going to sign off now. Please stay tuned for part 2. Thank you.